Barry, what was the first business club that you started?
Well, the first business club that I started was really as a result of the PC mega wave. And for my part, I was still quite young when the PC mega wave took off, but I did catch it and get involved with it very much in terms of organizing businesses around the desktop publishing aspect of the PC mega wave. And at that time, there was a groundswell of excitement and enthusiasm about the transformation that desktop publishing would have on the graphics industry. Everyone was worried about the change in the processes and the potential that Apple Computer was going to present. Of course, people were worried about their jobs. They were worried about the fact that as typesetters, there'd be no more work. The union would crumble. Photography would change. The way in which we produced anything with graphics was about to change. And all those people who had really had embedded interests for many years, maybe dating back to Gutenberg, were all worried about things. And I saw that as an opportunity, and I organized a group called the National Association of Desktop Publishers. And I actually organized it at a Macworld show in 1987. And there's a story behind that, which I'll tell another time. But it was a notion for me. It was like, I think there's a big wave going on. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm for desktop publishing. There's really no club. There's no organization. So I'm going to organize that club. And I did. And I signed up 300 members at the Macworld show. And I found myself running the National Association of Desktop Publishers, which, went on for many years. I think at its height, we had 30,000 paying members of the group. And that relationship that we had with those members who are all early adopters, enthusiasts, excited about the potential for desktop publishing, ultimately led to my publishing of the Desktop Publishers Journal and a buyer's guide and many other kinds of things. But it was really understanding that at certain points in history, and in business history, where there are transformative events, and people want to get more than information. They actually want to organize themselves, and they want to talk amongst themselves, so to speak. They want to share ideas, and so my idea then was to facilitate that, and it was a great success.
Referring to what you were talking about with desktop publishing, really interesting times, and we were at the time at the forefront of technology. Now we're looking at what's happening today with this whole AI mega wave, right?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I think technology is kind of the grease in the wheel, because it doesn't always work. Now, as much as the Desktop Publishing Association was really powerful, in the mid-1990s, I was actually involved in running the second largest business association service in the country, called Specialized Association Services. And it was made up of 13 associations, mostly focusing on the self-employed and small business people, the largest being the National Association of Self-Employed. And the reality was that much of that had been organized to help sell and facilitate health insurance and other benefits for the self-employed. But there wasn't that same enthusiasm for organizing and sharing ideas together. I noticed that group, it was not as vibrant and excited as I've seen. So I do believe that there's a point when technology is a catalyst, and you really have to harness that technology catalyst, and you have to have the timing right. But when you do, it's an incredibly powerful energizer for any community.
So Barry, what other technologies have you witnessed that have the same sort of enthusiasm that you experienced early on in your career with desktop publishing and the PC revolution?
Well, I always like to tell this story about this little website that I bought called PDF Zone. And, PDF to many is sort of this tedious technology. But I will tell you, this website and the way in which we facilitated the communication by the members was through an old-fashioned listserv. But you would not imagine the worldwide enthusiasm by developers for this PDF technology. And 24 hours a day, this listserv was lit up all over the world with people excited about facilitating changes in the way that they would do things like document management and archiving, librarians thinking about how they were going to manage things differently with PDF. So what was so exciting is that I would say there were people that generally in their life were probably not that exciting people, were remarkably energized by a PDF. So I have seen even small technologies have a big effect on groups. PDF Zone was probably about 25 or 30,000 strong, but the energy level and the enthusiasm and the exchange of ideas was powerful. It was the go-to place for PDF. Everybody knew that was the place to go, and they built businesses on it, and they made money with it, and it was very exciting. Now, these things are fleeting; they don't go on forever. Over time, Adobe consumed much of those capabilities within their PDF and Acrobat technology. So the need for that community, had a lifespan. But while it was vibrant, while it caught the wave at the right time, it was active, exciting, and it was fun to operate. So Cindy, truth be told, I followed AI, in the news over the last few years, and obviously it seemed very futuristic and very hard to grasp until one day, and not too long ago, my son sort of sat me down with ChatGPT, and he showed me what I could do and how I could apply it to my business, and the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my God, by the way, at the time I'm retired, and I'm thinking, it's happening again. Like there's another big mega wave. I can't miss this. I'm so excited about it. And I've got to catch up. How do I get caught up? And, so it was fun when we met because like you've been at it for a long time. I mean, you're actually like an AI veteran. So can you tell me a little bit about like what got you excited about AI, and what got you into AI to start with?
It was really interesting because I fell into AI by accident. And that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. In the world of AI, that's probably several lifetimes at this point, given the fact that AI is moving so quickly. But I will say I have such great enthusiasm and possibilities for AI, not only as a society, but more specifically for the business world that we work in every day. And, I had the good fortune of learning about applied AI when I was hired by a company called Hanson Robotics, who are based in Hong Kong as their CMO. And honestly, it was like when I started publishing, I didn't know anything about publishing. I didn't know anything about computer hardware or software. I had to sort of learn it as I went. And that's what happened with Hanson Robotics. Now, Hanson, as I mentioned, is based in Hong Kong, and they're known for their work in developing these really cool humanoid robots. A lot of people are afraid of them, but I got to experience it firsthand. And I will tell you, that's when I fell in love with the magic of AI and what you can do with it to shape, mold, produce, create amazing, amazing stuff. And I got to see it through Sophia, who is one of the most famous humanoid robots in the world. The company, Hanson Robotics, was founded by Dr. David Hanson. And here's the interesting part. He started the company in 2003. So David is very much a futurist. He thinks way ahead, light years ahead of a lot of people. He is an artist, but also a technologist. And he saw the possibility of creating these humanoid robots that could actually interact with human beings in a way that would be authentic and real. So Sophia's character, I helped to create, and she has this amazing ability to interact with people. She became a world famous AI ambassador for the UN. She was named an AI ambassador for the UN. So it was a huge statement about humanoid robotics, but also the advancement of AI and how the world is recognizing what AI can do, the positive things it can do. And Sophia, if you haven't seen her, she was designed to resemble a human and programmed to have these really human-like conversations with people. So if you're interacting with her, which I had the opportunity to do many times, you feel like you're talking to a live person. She has the ability to recognize faces. So if you walk into the room, she can recognize your face and she can say, "Hey, Cindy, how's it going?" She'll remember you. She can exhibit a range of facial expressions. I think the the last time I remember this, it was like 65 different facial expressions. So that's one of the things that makes her very human-like. And she was actually created as David created her as a research project. And she turned into this sort of celebrity, worldwide celebrity. She was asked to appear at events all around the world. And they actually created a whole new revenue stream that they didn't expect by having Sophia appear at these events, sometimes charging hundreds of thousands of dollars at the time for her appearance. And so it was a super interesting introduction to AI.
Look, this Sophia thing is like so science fiction for me. I mean, as we spend so much time together, and you fill in the blanks for me, because obviously the last 6 years I wasn't doing AI. So you've been my history teacher, and you've really done a wonderful job to sort of fill me with all these experiences that you've had, and really make me feel quite up to date about AI. But Sophia is really an incredible, but tell me about other kinds of things, like, just in the IT space. Has there been breakthroughs in AI for IT?
From there, I moved on to another company, startup company called Respond Software. It was not as interesting as Hanson Robotics, but it was interesting in the way that they were taking AI to, they were creating programs to help in the cybersecurity space, to help specifically the Security Operations Center for enterprises. And so a lot of what they did was automate many of the functions that humans did. And these were menial tasks like reading code and incidences all day long, just reading lines and lines of incidences that would happen. Very boring, really hard to do. They automated all of that. So these people could be reallocated to doing jobs that were more interesting for them, that help to expand the company in ways perhaps that they couldn't do before. A lot of the things that we're talking about today, especially as we start to talk about science AI.
Cindy, one of the things that is so fun spending time with you is that we really it really makes me think about AI beyond the scope of my comfort zone. I'm a marketer, and I've been involved in lots of B2B organizations and consumer organizations in the past. But when I hear a story about defense contractors and robotics, it's like, oh my God, there's a whole world out there that's going to happen, and AI is going to power all of it. And one of the things that excites me is how AI is just so omnipresent everywhere, how it's going to affect so many businesses, and just think of the impacts and opportunities it's going to have on us as people and as a society. I mean, what do you think about that? Isn't this like, aren't we in a moment in time that's incredibly special?
And then from there, I moved to another company in the AI space called Latent AI. Now, this was very much a right turn, because now I was the CMO marketing deep tech. This is AI on the edge. So you're taking very, very large neural network models and optimizing them, which normally have to run on very large computers with lots of memory and so forth. It's expensive, by the way, and optimizing them so they can run on a cell phone or any other device that might be mobile. And interestingly enough, they started in one place. Now they're working for a lot of the defense organizations in the US. So you can imagine where they're taking these kinds of programs for the military, for defense, for aerospace, things like that. Really interesting stuff. I'm not trained in technology, but I had to learn it as I went along. And now I'm here with you, which I'm really, really happy to say that, I've joined Pure Incubation Ventures, and we are launching something really exciting called Scienz AI.
That's incredibly interesting. I have by the way, a nephew. I didn't even realize this. He's in the Navy, a commander in Los Angeles. He's got 4,000 people, under him. And I got to talking to him about my excitement about AI, and he said, I've got 1,000 of them are involved in AI for the military. And I was wondering, well, I'm thinking, well, it's all about weapons and things like that. And he was saying, well, no, it can be simple things. Like, for example, they need to think about, all of the ships and when things are going to need maintenance. Something as simple as managing the maintenance on the entire fleet is actually being controlled by AI. And I found that incredibly exciting and also really applicable to sort of the commercial world out there. So have you also run into experiences where you've helped to power the military with AI?
Absolutely. It is a moment in time, and I'm so happy to be here to witness this because I think AI is going to change. It is changing everything that we will touch, I believe, going forward. From a society standpoint, if you just look at the opportunities that we have now, with applications that are controlling things in our home, that are driving our cars, that are helping us think better with, for instance, generative AI, ChatGPT. I do a lot of writing, and I use ChatGPT every day. It helps me think better. It helps me write better. It helps me do it faster. And it makes me feel like I'm a superhuman in a way. And I think that's one of the superpowers of AI, that it will help all of us do whatever we need to do better, because there are applications coming out everywhere for everything. And I think the thing that I'm most excited about, specifically with Pure Incubation Ventures and also working with Demand Science, is in the business world. So, as we look at the B2B IT buyer, the decision maker, the influencer, this whole audience is struggling to understand, how do we use AI as people in our jobs, and what's it going to do for my career? What is the future of work, and what are we looking at with this whole thing? Because what we see today with AI, we think it's really amazing and fantastic. We can't move fast enough to capture the applications, implement them into our lives, figure out like how to use them, what's good, what's bad. But for business people, for IT people, for B2B people, think about their jobs and the things that they have to think about: data and privacy, compliance, but also how do you integrate it into the organization so they can be more competitive, they can move faster, they can have speed to market. These are all really exciting things that I think we'll be able to explore with Scienz AI.
Cindy, I couldn't agree more about the enthusiasm of IT people. There was a little study that we had done at Demand Science a year ago, and it had confirmed that of all the interests that IT people had, like their number one concern was actually AI. And that just was buried in this research study. And because I'm a student of research, and I found that, and I was like, well, if that's the most important thing that they're concerned about, why aren't we addressing that much more readily? If that's top of mind, you can't hide the lead. You really got to focus your communication and everything around the thing that's most important to them. And I agree with you. With IT people today, while they have lots of other concerns of network security and compliance issues and keeping up with all the latest technologies, the reality is they all recognize something big is happening and they need to be part of it.
So Barry, I know that you do a lot of work with the Philippines, with your companies, and I'm curious on your perspective of how AI will affect the future of work for countries like the Philippines and India, as it's related to some of the task-oriented jobs that they do.
Well, look, that's a great question. And I had that was one of my first reactions to AI earlier this year when I really took an interest in it. And I thought to myself, oh my, this could be a devastating impact on the Philippines. And so I actually commissioned a study, a secondary research study on what I call the impact and opportunities of AI in the Philippines. And I wasn't sure what I was going to, what result would come from that. But some months later, the work came back, and I was very excited to find out that, in fact, well, the Philippines had gotten way ahead of this. Of course, AI has been around for a while. And, remember, that everyone who's working with the Philippines, who's utilizing them as a BPO, as a back office, remember the biggest companies in the world, like a Google and Accenture and Comcast, they're all thinking the same thing. They're all thinking, what can we do with AI? And so as a result of that, the Philippines, rather than being sort of a backwater of AI, was actually, I was find it was a center of excellence of AI, that they had actually gotten involved much earlier. And as a result of the potential threat of AI, they had been doing things to prepare for it. They had been organizing it. Their government had been getting ready for it. And they were doing things in their institutions, in their universities, to train people to get ready for AI and to be able to serve people as a result of AI. And we're going to see centers of excellence in the Philippines. I believe it also will happen in India, and that some of the best support work that will be powered by AI will come from those places, maybe supporting some of us in the US who are maybe behind the times and need to have assistance from folks in the Philippines and India.
People are still afraid, even here, that AI is going to take their jobs and they're going to be out of a job. My perspective on it is that now's the time to jump on the train and go in the direction it's going, figure it out. How are you going to upskill yourself, embrace AI, understand what it can and can't do for you, but understand it. Just get into a community and start having conversations, understand what AI, the possibilities and the opportunities for you. And that's all that's all we can do right now, because in 6 months from now, it's going to be very different. Then this is the worst version of AI that we will ever have. So if you're looking at something like ChatGPT, it's the worst version. We'll look back in a year from now and laugh at what we were working with because it's changing so quickly. So just hop on the train and hang on really tight and go with it.
I think what you're talking about is the need for the community, the need to empower people. It's interesting that we learn different ways as humans, and we have for years. You think about it, what a community is, and the fact is that if you look at the way we gather and we celebrate together, but we come together as humans. We enjoy that interaction, that conversation, that exchange. It happens human to human. I know you've got stories about Sophia and the way we're going to interact with robots, but I still believe that we communicate best human to human. And maybe we're facilitated more with with Zoom and with Skype and other ways of interacting, but we need that. We need to have thoughts. We need to have that. We need to exchange those with other humans. We need to build on those thoughts and those ideas together. And that makes us better as a people and as a society. So yeah, I think that someone needs to organize this community, and I think that should be us.
I am with you on that. Absolutely, 1,000%. Science AI.
Science AI.
Barry, so tell me a little bit about your vision and the mission of Science AI and where you think we can go with this.
So Cindy, I'm incredibly excited about Science AI. I'm incredibly excited about sort of being the one to be the catalyst and organize the community, the global community for business professionals that would be trying to transform their businesses and their careers with AI. Tell me a little bit about how do you think we can go about doing that for them?
Right. Well, we know with Demand Science, we know the B2B IT buyer, those decision makers, those influencers really well. And we have an amazing database, as you know, of those people. And so to me, it feels like we need to have a resource to organize themselves, as you mentioned, in a way that makes sense for them to be able to connect with like-minded people, to be able to discuss topics that are relevant to them, whether they are marketing people, whether they're technical IT people, whether they're CEOs, whether they're CFOs. There's all kinds of conversations to be had around the topic of AI, and people are looking for communities to tap into. We can see it here in our own companies in Pure Incubation Ventures. People are wondering, how do I get smarter about this? Who do I turn to have a resource that I can learn from? And I think that's where we should start with Science AI and building a really interesting community for people to congregate, to be able to converse with each other, to find people who are like them, to share ideas, to create, and for us as a company, we can learn from. And learning from perhaps a community that we start, whether it's on a platform like Slack or otherwise, I think can inform us in terms of how to create a really interesting business around this, because there is a very interesting business around this. So those are my thoughts about it. I think we'll learn a lot as we start to go along, but I think we have the basis of a fantastic idea. And I really feel that people are going to gravitate toward this once they find out about it. So it's a very, very exciting time for us to jump into the world of AI.
Well, Cindy, I think you're absolutely right, and I do think we leverage the demand science database, 100 million, global IT buyers, the folks with the most influence on IT, the ones with the most interest in AI. That's, I think, where we start. I do believe we'll be able to go beyond that, but I do believe we start on second base, by really engaging and activating that 100 million name database and giving them a place to come and join us and be part of the conversation. I think we do that on a free basis. I think we let them self-select in terms of the threads and the interest areas that they want to pursue. You mentioned, just think about, if I'm a CFO and I want to talk to other CFOs and I want to do it quickly, because, by the way, AI is not going to wait for you. You've got to get quick, you've got to get fast, and I'm going to look for like-minded CFOs. In the marketing industry that I spend my time in, it's going to transform B2B. It's going to be an entirely new set of disciplines, and every single business process that we built at Demand Science will change. They're going to go through that metamorphosis. I'm imagining that happening all over with every other company. But you mentioned something that's really interesting. Individuals have the opportunity right now to upskill themselves. And everybody is going to be in a position to think about the way in which, they bring value to their companies. And they're going to have a unique opportunity to think of themselves as their own company, their own individual company, and what do they offer companies in the future? Having skills, even prompt engineering around ChatGPT and other kinds of readily available AI is going to be very important. It's going to be a basic skill that you'll have to learn, much like understanding Excel or Word or other kinds of documents. You'll need to be a strong, prompt engineer. So I see all these potentials. I see the opportunities on an individual level. I see the opportunities to transform businesses. And then I also get very excited about what does it do to society, and how can we play a very positive role there as well?
I totally agree. And I think in terms of society, there's a lot of debate about AI and the ethics around it, something that we haven't really talked about. But I know that our mission is AI for good, and we want to support that. I think we can do this through the community, and I think the community will learn about how AI affects them from a society standpoint, because there are bad actors out there who are using AI to hack, to do all kinds of evil things, and that's not where we want to go. We need to be aware of it, but we also are supporting, AI for good, especially in the B2B community. These are all things that hopefully our Science AI community will start to learn and talk about, share the ideas and so forth. But I think your whole statement about the future of work and upskilling is so important. I I am such an evangelist of this. You've heard me talk about it so many times. Just get in and play with it. Do something. Don't wait for it to come to you. You need to be proactive with AI and start learning it, figuring out what it can do for you in your career as a business person, but also what it might be able to do for your company, because companies are going to be looking to their internal people, their AI team members who have jumped on that train for ideas on how they can accelerate productivity, speed to market, new products. There are so many ways, and it's all unfolding. We don't know everything, obviously, at this point. We are all going to be learning it as we go along, but that's the fun of it. That's going to be a really fun ride. And I'm just thrilled that we're going to be catching this mega wave and riding it out with Scienz AI in our community.
So Cindy, you mentioned AI for good, and I think that it's really important to underscore what that means. And I put it in this context. I've seen in every mega wave, whether it was the PC and that desktop publishing mega wave that I talked about, or whether it was the internet mega wave, there's that point of what I call the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And of course, in the news, that's clickbait today. That's the kind of things that get stories written. And so sometimes AI gets a bad name as a result of the negative stories. But I see AI in a different way. I see AI to be very positive, and I think that from a philosophical standpoint, I want Scienz AI to be AI for good.
So Barry, how do you see AI having a positive impact on business professionals?
So my thinking really revolves around the idea that to the extent that you can increase your productivity as an individual and be a better contributor to your company, you're more valuable and you can make the company make more money. And I really think that if I'm a young professional, and look, I'm in my 60s now, so I'm not thinking about how to build my skills or to organize myself to be better prepared for tomorrow's world. But if I was 30, right now, what I'd be doing is I'd be jumping on this AI train fast and hard, and really immersing myself in it, because all the skills that you're going to be building, they're all going to be positive in terms of your ability to bring things to your company that are going to increase your productivity, are going to make you more valuable. You, and along with other team members, are going to make the company more money, and you're going to be able to get paid more money. That's the way to think about AI. Don't think about AI as fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Think about it how it's going to superpower you. I want to do AI with salespeople, and I have this notion that I call my AI sales Superman, because I really think AI is going to do things to transform salespeople. It's going to allow salespeople to spend more time selling, and much of the things that they do that it's not selling, it can be done by AI and can be done with assistance. That's not a bad thing. I mean, by the way, if I'm a salesperson and my joy is actually spending time talking to people and interacting with them and selling, I don't want to spend my time on that other kind of work. And I know I can make more money if I can spend more time, sort of, as they say, pressing the flesh, which is what we'll always have to do as humans. Sales will never go away, but we'll be better and we'll be faster and we'll make more money with AI.
So Barry, how do you see Scienz AI and everything that we're doing with AI fitting into the nonprofit work that you're doing?
Well, look, the nonprofit work that we do through the Peer Incubation Foundation and the Bayanihan Project really translates its impact on society in terms of the number of livelihoods that we create to lift people out of poverty. And I'm looking at it very closely. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about how can AI help? Well, I'll tell you, I do think it's going to create new livelihoods. It's going to create new livelihoods within families, as we can help families become more educated, help their kids become more educated. We're going to get those kids into AI early and be productive contributors. So we do see creating livelihoods that way. But we're also going to be offering something we call the Bayanihan playbook, which is really a best practices of how to organize your charity. Because what I want to do is I want to take all the charities that are doing good work in the world, and I want to present them with a playbook that suggests, look, you too have to use business best practices, and AI is going to be incredibly important for you to be able to deliver your benefits to beneficiaries in an efficient fashion. So I think AI is going to have an incredible impact on lifting people out of poverty. And I think it's going to have a remarkable impact on helping charitable organizations become more efficient and more effective. And I'd like to be part of that.
Barry, how do you see AI impacting marketing?
Well, I think AI is going to have probably the biggest effect on B2B marketing, versus consumer marketing. And the reason for that is B2B marketing is highly complex with lots of processes. And you think about, big ticket items and long sales processes and very complex buying environments with, 6 to 10 people involved in the buying process and long decision cycles. All of that, by the way, is underpinned by hundreds of processes that are very complicated around the way data and lead generation is done. And this is where I've spent a lot of my time throughout my career is kind of studying that. And part of the reason I get excited about B2B marketing is simply that I always look at B2B marketers like, we're like the chess players. We're like the three-dimensional chess players. And the consumer market is, they play checkers. Now I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but I kind of enjoy the complexity of the B2B marketing. So, when you have something so incredibly complex, that lends itself to AI. And so I'm excited about what we can do with all of those processes. And at Demand Science, the work that I'm going to be doing, I call it marketing science. And really, it's really about taking apart every one of those processes along the B2B marketing continuum and rethinking them and turning them upside down, empowering them, accelerating them, automating them with AI. Now, do you do all of that at once? No. What you do is you figure out the ones that, where there'll be the most impact, and you spend your time on them. And some of that is going to require, deep, heavy AI lift and was what I call it. And the folks there at Demand Science can tell you more about it because, we have an AI lab and some folks that are just doing some remarkable work around things that are very proprietary and custom and there's no product that we can find on the market that's going to automate that. But then there'll also be the surface level work. Everybody is going to be using, is going to be doing prompt engineering and employing ChatGPT. Videos like this, I'm sure will be impacted by how we make AI, the way we do social posts. So great content is all going to be changed by the way we use AI. So I do think that every person, involved in B2B marketing and every company involved in B2B marketing is going to be smart if they embrace AI. Because at Demand Science, we've got a first mover advantage. We're going to press the advantage. We're all about AI, and I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the way AI will facilitate ultimately my marketing science vision.